Look at all the shiny cars, Daddy.
Ours runs just fine, sweetheart. Are you nervous, Daddy?
A little. But I have you.
You must be lost. This is a private event.
I'm on the list. Ward.
Just a moment. Ah, yes, Mr. Ward, please excuse me.
Of course.
Edwin, +1 Kide. We don't do children here.
Her name is Sophie. She'll sit with me.
I'm sure.
I won't be any trouble.
I know. Stay close to me.
Nobody important. A paper pusher, Faye. Edwin something.
The valet barely looked up when the plain gray sedan rolled to the curb. He waved it toward the far end of the lot, past the row of black cars polished to a mirror shine, and turned back to the men in tailored coats without a second thought. The car did not fit the night, and neither, in his mind, did the people in it. Out of the sedan stepped a quiet man in an ordinary suit and a small girl who held his hand and hummed a tune under her breath. Under his other arm, he carried a worn black notebook, held the way you hold something precious. Inside that building, 40 people were gathering to sign the largest contract of their lives. 6,000 jobs, a whole region's lifeline. They would spend the entire evening deciding he did not belong. Not one of them knew the room belonged to him. The rain had been falling over the city since noon, steady and gray, the kind that turns every window into a smear of light and every gutter into a small brown river. Ethan Ward stood a moment in the shelter of the entrance, letting Sophie shake the water from her small coat. She was 7. She had her mother's dark hair and her mother's habit of humming when the world felt too big. A soft, wordless tune Rose used to sing while she cooked, a tune Sophie had never been taught and somehow knew anyway. It came up out of her like breath, the way some inheritances do. "Are you nervous, Daddy?" she asked, tugging at his sleeve, her shoes squeaking on the wet marble. "A little," Ethan said, because he did not lie to her. "But I have you, so it's a small little." She seemed satisfied with that. She always was. He crouched down, straightened the collar of her coat, and tucked a stray strand of hair behind her ear, the way Rose used to, and for a second, the ache of it caught in his throat, and he let it pass. He had built the firm that made this night possible more than 20 years ago, back when it had been 3 men and a leased office over a hardware store that smelled of sawdust and machine oil. He had grown it, guided it, argued for it in rooms that did not want to listen, and then, quietly, the year Rose got sick, he had stepped out of the spotlight and let younger names take the podium. He still owned it. He still held the papers that mattered. But faces fade in 20 years. And tonight, most of the people in that banquet hall knew him only as a line on a guest list nobody had bothered to read carefully. The banquet room was all walnut and low gold light, a chandelier throwing soft rings across a long table set for 40. Crystal caught the light and threw it back. Waiters moved along the walls like careful shadows. This was the signing dinner for the Cascade plant, a manufacturing facility that would rise on the edge of a town that had been losing people for a decade. 6,000 jobs. Everyone in the room understood what that number meant. For the executives, it meant bonuses and headlines and a good quarter. For Ethan, who had grown up 2 towns over, it meant fathers coming home tired instead of not coming home at all. It meant kitchen tables where the lights stayed on. Miranda Cade ran the regional division for Halloran Group, the partner firm, and she moved through the room like weather. Bright, clipped, certain. She wore success the way some people wear armor. You noticed it before she reached you. She had come up from nothing. From a mill town and a mother who cleaned other people's houses. And somewhere along that hard climb, she had decided that the surest way to prove she had escaped poverty was to keep it always in her sight, in someone else, so she could look down at it and feel the distance she had traveled. She found that someone the moment she saw Ethan's suit. "You must be lost," she said, not unkindly, which was somehow worse. Her eyes moved over the plain cut of his jacket, the honest scuff on his shoes, the child at his side who did not belong in a room like this. "This is a private event. The public reception is downstairs, and I'm afraid it wrapped up an hour ago. I'm on the list, Ethan said. Ward. She glanced at the place cards arranged in their neat little tents, ran a manicured finger down the row, and found one near the far end of the table. Something in her mouth tightened with amusement. The card read Mr. Edwin Word, misspelled, twice, and placed where the caterers seat the people who don't matter, nearest the kitchen doors, farthest from the head of the table, where the swinging doors would breathe kitchen heat on your neck all night. There you are, Miranda said. Edwin, and a +1. How sweet. She looked at Sophie, the way you look at something that might stain the carpet. We don't usually do children at events like this. It isn't really the place. Her name is Sophie, Ethan said. His voice never rose. That was the thing about him. He asked more than he told, and when he did speak, it was slow, unhurried, like a man who had already decided nothing in this room could take from him what mattered. She'll sit with me. She won't be any trouble to anyone. I'm sure, Miranda said, already turning away, the conversation over in her mind before it had finished in his. A young server named Daniel pulled out 2 chairs for them, quiet and careful, and set a glass of water in front of Sophie without being asked, angling the straw toward her small hand. He could not have been more than 20. He had the tired, hopeful look of someone working a shift he could not afford to lose, the kind of young man who counts his tips twice on the bus home. He smiled at the little girl like she was a guest and not a burden. If you get hungry before the food comes, he murmured, leaning down so only she could hear. I can find you some bread, the good kind, with the warm butter. Just give me a nod. Thank you, Sophie whispered, and gave him a small, solemn nod, as if they had struck a secret bargain. It was such a small kindness. Ethan noticed it the way he noticed everything, quietly, completely, filing it away. He opened the black notebook, uncapped a pen, and wrote a single line no one else could see. Then he capped the pen and folded his hands and waited. The dinner began, and with it, the slow performance of a room deciding who was worth speaking to. Around the head of the table, executives traded numbers and laughter, and the easy confidence of people who have never once wondered whether they belonged. At the far end, Ethan cut his daughter's chicken into small pieces and listened. He was good at listening. He had learned it in the years when nobody listened to him, and he had never unlearned it. He heard the things people say when they think the quiet man doesn't count. He heard Miranda tell the story of the Cascade contract, as though she had willed it into being alone, out of nothing but her own brilliance. He heard her describe the financing partner, the firm underwriting the whole project, the one entity whose guarantee made 6,000 jobs possible, as some silent money people. Thank God they stay out of the way and let the grown-ups work. He heard a vice president ask who was actually attending from that firm, and Miranda answer, without looking up from her wine, nobody important. They sent a paper pusher, I think. Edwin something? He's sitting by the kitchen, where he'll be comfortable. Laughter again, low and pleased with itself. Sophie stopped eating. Ethan felt it before he saw it, the small warmth of her leaning against his arm, and then the stillness. Children hear more than we give them credit for. She had heard the words by the kitchen and the laugh that followed them, and she had understood, in the wordless way of a 7-year-old, that these bright, loud people were laughing at her father. Her fork went quiet against the plate. She had been humming, on and off, all evening. Rose's tune. Now the humming stopped. Ethan noticed the silence more than he would have noticed a scream. In a loud room, the absence of that one small sound was the loudest thing in it. He put his hand over hers under the table, and she gripped his fingers hard. Outside, the storm was worsening. Rain hammered the tall windows in gray sheets, and once, far off, thunder rolled through the floor and rattled the crystal on the table. Somewhere across the country, in a data center this room would never think about, a wire transfer that was supposed to close the deal that night sat unconfirmed, delayed by the same weather knocking out lines 2 states over. No one at the table knew it yet. They were toasting a thing that had not actually happened. Miranda tapped her glass with the edge of a knife, a bright ringing that pulled every eye. Before we sign, she said, rising, I want to thank the people who made this real. The vision people. The ones who don't hide behind spreadsheets and let the world pass them by. She let her gaze travel the length of the table, slow and theatrical, and it landed, deliberately, on Ethan. And I suppose we should thank the help too. Every big night needs someone to fill the empty chairs. A ripple of laughter moved down the table. Daniel, refilling water 3 seats down, went still, the pitcher trembling in his grip, his ears burning, because he knew she meant him as much as the quiet man by the kitchen doors. He kept his eyes on the glass he was filling, and said nothing, because saying something cost more than he had. Then Sophie stood up. She was 7 years old and she barely cleared the table, and her chin was trembling, and her small hands were fists at her sides, but she stood, and the room turned toward her. "My daddy is not the help," she said. Her voice shook and did not stop. "My mommy said, dignity does not shout. So I'm not shouting. But you should not laugh at people you don't know. It isn't kind, and it isn't right." The room went silent in a different way now. The embarrassed silence of 40 grown adults caught flat-footed by a child. Miranda recovered first, with a thin smile that did not reach her eyes. "Isn't she darling? Someone really should teach her when to speak, and when to sit." "Someone did," Ethan said quietly. He reached into the black notebook, and, for the first time all night, he let it fall open where others could see. On the first page, in handwriting that was not his, a looping, gentle hand that had grown shaky near the end, was a single line. He turned it toward the table so the gold light fell across it. "Dignity does not shout, it simply refuses to kneel. Rose." "My wife wrote that," he said, "the last week of her life. She's been gone 3 years this winter." He closed the book gently, his thumb resting on the worn cover. "I keep it because I forgot it once, when it mattered most. I was on a call, a deal, a number, something that felt urgent, something that felt like it could not wait. The afternoon she was slipping away in the next room. The machines had already gone quiet, and I was still talking, still closing. I did not hold her hand at the end, because I was busy proving I mattered to people who would forget my name inside a year." He looked up, and his eyes were steady, and there was no self-pity in them, only truth. "So I don't laugh at the person by the kitchen anymore. I used to be the one laughing, in rooms just like this one. It cost me the only minute I would trade everything I owned to have back." No one moved. A fork did not scrape. Even Miranda's certainty had gone somewhere it could not be found. A phone buzzed near the head of the table, insistent against the walnut. A junior associate leaned to read it, went pale, and passed it up the line without a word. The wire had not cleared. The storm had cut the confirmation somewhere in the dark 2 states over, and without that transfer landing before midnight, the whole contract, every clause, every signature, every one of those 6,000 jobs, was nothing but ink that had not dried. Miranda's face did the math faster than her voice could follow. 6,000 jobs did not exist unless the financing partner's guarantee held them up. The single instrument that promised the money would appear no matter what the weather did, no matter what any line went down. "We need the underwriter," someone said, half standing, folder open, pages spilling. "Whoever it is, the firm is, hold on, it's Ward Capital. The guarantor is Ward. The whole bond is Ward." The name reached the table the way a stone reaches the bottom of a well, slowly, and then all at once. Ethan set down his pen. "It's not Edwin," he said, into the quiet. "It's Ethan, and you don't need to call anyone." He folded his hands on the walnut. "I'm the underwriter. Ward Capital is mine. I built it over a hardware store when most of you were children. The performance bond that makes tonight possible has my signature on it, or it does not exist at all." There was a screen behind the head table, and it had glowed green all evening. The confirmation display. The sum the whole room had been celebrating without once asking where it came from. Everyone had assumed it belonged to the men in the good suits, the vision people. It belonged to the quiet man by the kitchen doors, the one with a child at his side and a worn black notebook under his arm. Miranda's voice, when it finally came, had lost all its bright edges. "Mr. Ward, there's clearly been a misunderstanding about the seating. The card. We'd be honored to move you to the head of the table. I'll have it arranged this instant." "I'm comfortable where I am," Ethan said. "My daughter likes the window. She likes to watch the rain." He let the silence sit, the way he let everything sit, until it grew heavy enough to feel. Here is where we are. Without my bond, this contract collapses at midnight, storm or no storm. 6,000 people wake up tomorrow with nothing. The same nothing some of you like to pretend you were never afraid of. I don't want that. I've wanted this plant built since before some of you finished school. I grew up down the road from that town. I know what that number means to the people who are not in this room. He rose, slowly, and the whole table rose with the weight of him, chairs scraping back in a hurry. So, I'll sign. Tonight. On one condition. He turned to Daniel, who was standing frozen against the wall with a water pitcher still in his hands, forgotten. This young man served every single person in this room with more grace than most of you showed a child tonight. I watched him the whole evening. He was the only one who offered her bread. He looked at him directly. What's your name? Your full name, son. Daniel, sir. Daniel Reyes. Are you in school, Daniel? I had to stop. The young man's voice cracked, and he steadied it. Money. My mother got sick. I'm saving to go back. I've got most of the first semester now. You're going back, Ethan said, and not in pieces. Ward Capital funds a scholarship every year for someone who shows character over comfort. Someone who does the right thing when the easy thing is standing right there. This year, it's yours. Full tuition. Whatever field you choose. Books and board along with it. That's my condition. I sign the bond tonight, and this young man signs an acceptance letter I'll have drawn up before breakfast. He did not raise his voice once. He did not point at Miranda, or name what she had done, or ask the room to turn on her the way she had turned on him. He simply took out his own pen, and beneath the glow of that green number, he signed the performance bond in a firm, unhurried hand. The guarantee that would hold 6,000 jobs steady through the storm, and long after the storm was forgotten. Then he capped the pen, tucked the black notebook back under his arm, and reached down for his daughter's hand. Come on, Sophie, he said. It's late, and you were braver than everybody here. We'll have breakfast for dinner. Miranda tried, one last time, to find the person she had been an hour ago. Mr. Ward, Ethan, the seating, the card, that wasn't. She stopped. Her hand had come up to her throat, and the certainty had drained clean out of her face. And for one moment there was no armor left on her at all. Only the woman underneath, the one from the mill town, the one who had cleaned houses beside her mother and sworn she would never be looked at that way again. I did know who you were on that card, she said, very quietly, and her voice shook the way Sophie's had. No, that's not. I didn't know, but I knew he was nobody, and that was enough for me. That was the whole reason. She looked at her own hands, as if she did not recognize them. I don't know when I became a person who needed someone to be nobody. He looked at her for a long moment, and there was no anger in it, which unsettled her far more than fury would have. He knew exactly what it was to claw your way out of a place that had shamed you, and then spend the rest of your life pointing at that place in other people, so you would never once have to feel it living in yourself. You didn't punish me tonight, Miranda, he said gently, without a trace of triumph. You punished the version of yourself you can't forgive. I did the same for years, in rooms just like this one, and it cost me a hand I'll never get to hold again. He nodded toward the notebook under his arm. You can put it down, whatever you've been carrying. It's heavy. I carried it a long way before I learned that. Then he walked out, a small girl's hand in his, past the head table and the frozen faces and the green number still glowing on the wall, past the row of black cars, into the rain. They did not go home right away. There was a diner 3 blocks over, the kind with fogged windows and a jukebox missing half its songs, and Ethan pushed open the door and let the warm smell of coffee and griddle butter fold over them both like a blanket. A bell jangled over the door. A waitress with tired eyes and a real smile waved them toward a booth by the glass and told them to sit anywhere they likes. Pancakes, Sophie said, before she was even fully sitting, her wet coat already half off. The big kind, with the extra syrup, and whipped cream if they have it. 2 orders, Ethan told the waitress. The big kind, both, and the whipped cream. She earned every bit of it tonight. The rain ran soft down the window, catching the neon from the sign outside and turning it into long red ribbons. Somewhere behind the counter, the jukebox skipped on a scratched track and kept playing anyway, stubborn and warm, and neither of them minded the skip. When the pancakes came, they were golden and steaming, stacked high, and the syrup was thick and slow off the little metal pitcher, and Sophie's whole face opened up the way it used to, before the world got heavier, before the house got quiet. She started to hum again, Rose's tune, soft over her plate, the melody finding its way back on its own. Ethan opened the black notebook one more time, under the diner's yellow light, and beneath his wife's line he wrote a new one in his own steady hand. He did not read it aloud, he just wrote it, and looked at it a moment, and closed the book, and watched his daughter eat with a fullness in his chest he had not felt in 3 winters. And then Sophie laughed, really laughed, at nothing, at the syrup on her thumb, at the skipping song, at the ordinary warmth of a booth on a stormy night with her father across from her. Her father did not describe it, or explain it, or try to hold it too tight in his hands the way he once might have. He just let it fill the small, bright room, the sound he had waited 3 years to hear come back to him, and he let it be enough, because it was. Outside, the storm was already breaking apart over the city, the clouds pulling open to show a few worn stars. Inside a banquet hall 3 blocks away, a room full of important people were still learning something a 7-year-old had said out loud, without ever raising her voice. True dignity never has to shout. It doesn't announce what it's worth, or point at what it isn't. It simply refuses to kneel, and waits, quiet and unhurried, for the world to catch up to what was there all along.